Over, so let's play a game of free agent frenzy. J-Mac, looking back over the free agent period so far, what has been your favorite move?
I love a wide receiver position because I never could cover those guys. Devontae Adams going to the LA Rams. I just think about Matthew Stafford throwing him the ball with Sean McVay dialing it up, hearing how he recruited Adams to come there. You just absolutely love this pairing with these guys.
Neek, what has been the biggest head scratcher to you so far?
Well, that Kirk Cousins is still a Falcon. I guess we still have some time, but it'd be shocking to me that they don't use Kirk Cousins to get some more draft capital and then use that to make this team a little better in the coming season.
And then, Graziano, how about the next move you want to see? What hasn't happened yet that you would be forecasting?
Cowboys still need a receiver. How about Stefon Diggs to Dallas? I'm personally a big fan. I don't know if J-Mac is of brothers playing on the same team. I think that's a lot of fun. Dallas needs a good number 2 behind CeeDee Lamb, and I think at this point in his career, Stefon Diggs would be an excellent addition to the Dallas Cowboys.
Graz, I always knew I liked you. That just is the perfect pairing. You get brothers on the same team, especially these guys on opposite sides of the ball, it's going to raise everybody's level of competition. I made Dev into the player he was in New England.
Yeah,
there you go.
Just to ask you. And,
he always says that.
And fair enough. Stefon, and look, there's a lot of things about that move that would be good. They talked about going after Cooper Kupp. I don't know how seriously
they never got real serious about
That's what I mean. Yeah. They wanted the world to think they were going after Cooper Kupp, but they never spend the money that it would take to sign Cooper Kupp. And maybe, I don't know how expensive Stefon Diggs is, but they don't go after free agents that cost any real money.
No, they don't. If their deal is right, I think they'll look into that. I mean, they'll kick over every rock to find a number 2 wide receiver. But yeah, there's a line item on their budget with a number on it, and I'm sure they're pretty disciplined about not going over it.
Yeah, they've certainly shown that discipline in the last few years. J-Mac, I'm looking at this piece of paper that they gave me with the different takes that people have.
Yeah.
And it says on here that the move you want to see is the Steelers trading for Brock Purdy. And I just assume
that's interesting.
Something's wrong with this piece of paper.
Hear me out, Greeny. Me and Evan Cohen were talking last week. All right, the situation at hand right now, they're waiting for Aaron Rodgers. Say Minnesota comes calling, Aaron Rodgers decides to go to Minnesota. Russell Wilson has been on a visit to the New York Giants and the Cleveland Browns. For whatever reason, the Browns go in and they sign Russell Wilson to a contract. Now, if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, you've already traded for DK Metcalf and gave him a big contract. You need to have somebody to throw the ball to him. We've talked about the 49ers figuring out whether this is a rebuild or they're still going for it. If you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, why not think about, hey, calling up the 49ers and John Lynch and saying, I don't know where you guys are at right now. If you think you got a chance, that Brock Purdy guy, you're unsure. Do you want to pay him? Is he the same guy? Give us a shot at him. We'll take him. We'll let him be able to distribute to all the weapons we have here in Pittsburgh.
If the 49ers aren't going to pay Brock Purdy, you think the Steelers are going to pay Brock Purdy? I mean, the 49ers give out money a lot more freely than Pittsburgh does. I mean, it's a fascinating idea. Like, the logic is sound. I just think underneath it, the Niners, I believe, intend to sign Brock Purdy and don't want to trade him. But it's a fun thing to think about.
And then one of the underlying ones, of course, in that is Aaron Rodgers making up his mind on what he's going to do. Dominique, what's the move you want to see coming up next?
I mean, you see it right there. Do something, Aaron Rodgers. Like, I feel like we've been talking about Aaron Rodgers going to every possible team, and I just want him to make a decision at some point, even if that decision is to retire. So I'm looking forward to Aaron Rodgers making a choice so then we can have something new to talk about as it pertains to Aaron Rodgers.
And the only explanation that I have for why this is taking the time that it is taking is that he is continuing to hold out hope for a different situation, and Minnesota feels like the one that makes sense.
I think that's accurate. Now, the extent to which they end up interested is still kind of an unknown, but yeah, I think as long as there's any percent chance at all that that's out there, I think he prefers that situation to the Steelers or the Giants. I got to believe we'll know soon.
I mean, look, Minnesota's the place every quarterback would like to go.
And I guess what I start to wonder from a Minnesota perspective, what are they waiting on? If Aaron Rodgers is somebody they're interested in, he's there, go get him. If it's another backup quarterback that they want, it's not like there's going to be new players on the market.
Signing Aaron Rodgers would represent a dramatic departure from Minnesota's plan. They'd have to make other budget decisions, so there's things that go along with it.
All right, we'll keep a close eye on all of that. In the meantime, we get to the NBA coming up next. We've got
9 figures of money committed. We'll get into the guarantees here in a moment. Effective 112 guaranteed to Jamar, a 3-year deal. T getting the first 2 of his guaranteed. However you add it up, it's a whole lot of money for one position group. What'd you make of the news?
Well, Joe Burrow,
he stressed the importance in getting these two guys signed. It was a very, very important factor for him as an individual, and clearly he made it known to the organization. And guess what the organization did, Joe? We wanted to make sure we kept a smile on our franchise quarterback's face. So we found a way to move some money around, to navigate, to get these deals done in a timely fashion. So Joe Burrow, he's elated. The same can be said for Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And what this tells me for this team, Cincinnati, once again, they're putting all their marbles in the middle of the table on offense. Offense, offense, offense. They were outstanding a year ago. And don't forget, Joe, T. Higgins missed a lot of time last year. But it paved the way for Jamar Chase to have a record-breaking year. And now you're able to get these guys back in uniform once again for a full season. When you talk about the chemistry they already have in place, it's all about offense. So I can tell you this much. That play 60 arm for Joe Burrow, it better be warmed up week in and week out, because they probably will have to do similar like things from what we saw in 2024, not knowing the status of their defense. Because remember, their defense wasn't good at all a year ago, and they had the NFL sack leader on their side, and that did not help in terms of overall success. So not knowing the status of Trey Hendrickson moving forward, especially with these new deals being handed out to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, it's all about offense, offense, offense. Fantasy owners, you might want to draft every one of these players if you get an opportunity to, because they're going to put up points.
Yeah, you said week in and week out, and that week in and week out better start week one. That's been the issue lately for these Bengals, is getting out of the gates successfully. I'd like to just take a moment here and applaud the humility. Hard to say it when you're looking at 4 years, $115 million, but T. Higgins, like many star wide receivers, could have said, I want to go elsewhere. I want to be paid the top dollar there, and I want to be a bona fide wide receiver one. Try his hand at that. He sees fit to stay put in Cincinnati after they did tag him, remove that tag, give him the extension. But to your point, Mac, offense was not the problem side of the ball for the Cincinnati Bengals. You now have a star edge rusher who, as you said, led the league in sacks, likely to jettison elsewhere. You're just not going to have the money for him. Your other edge just announced his retirement. What do you do defensively other than hope you hit home runs in the draft?
You got to find a way to go bargain shop and shop at a cheap rate to go get the players you need to try to improve your defense, because you're spending so much money on the offensive side. You just talked about the two deals we just saw. I mean, you talk about $200 million in two players in terms of their average year salary. I mean, you're looking at north of $68 million between two players. So now defensively, you got to hit on the draft. The draft is super important, but whatever free agents are still available, you got to go get them at a bargain to try to improve your team. And like I said, you had the NFL sack leader on your team, and you had nothing to show for it because your defense was not good. Sam Hubbard, no longer there. You already told Trey, look out and try to find a trade suitor for your services. So you're telling him he can go ahead and move elsewhere. So I don't know what to expect from their defense, but clearly it's all about offense, as I stated, because they feel like they have the offense that can maybe help keep their defense afloat based on the stars they have moving forward.
All right, maybe most importantly, who pays for dinner? The new money, the big money, the guy who got him the money? Who pays for dinner?
You know, the quarterback. It's only right that Joe pays for dinner, right? Yeah, because quarterback money is different. The longevity, everything is different. So for Joe Burrow, I think it's safe for Joe to pay for dinner, because he is the quarterback, and having these two guys back in the huddle actually will help him get more money faster.
All is right in the world. Bryant McFadden, they stayed together in Cincinnati. We appreciate you stopping by here for your thoughts on both T and Jamar getting broken off. All right, here's a look at the highest average annual values non-QB, as Jamar Chase, the front office said, we're going to make him the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of the league. They do that by some $300,000 annually, surpassing Myles Garrett and, most notably, his old running mate, Justin Jefferson.